Let's see if this works. Okay, I think we are live. All right, guys, so here is our cool new tool that we are using today with our live. And I'll be monitoring comments on my phone. So I promise I'm not ignoring all down here. I'm just watching myself for more comments. I'm going to give everybody just a second to kind of hop in. Say welcome back to everybody. It's been a whole week since we've been together and I've missed every single one of you. Today, we are going to talk about documents. While we're waiting for people to hop in, we're just going to kind of reiterate from last week. We talked about property taxes and how to protest them. I know they can be daunting, and that bill for your property taxes can be intense. So we want to make sure that you guys are well prepared. And if you have questions about property taxes, about protesting your property taxes, or you're looking for comps for your neighborhood, please reach out to the team. You can email us at info@reynoldshometeam.com, or you can reach out to one of the three of us directly if that's easier for you. All right, so we've got a couple people hopping on, so we're going to go ahead and get started. This is my really cool presentation tool that I've started using like 8 hours ago, and I'm really excited. So today we're going to talk about the documents to expect. Now, we don't have enough time to cover every single document that you could possibly see in a real estate transaction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the most common things that you are probably going to see, and things you are definitely going to see. So we're going to start first with our favorite section, realtors. So let's go ahead and go on. And so cool. Oh, it's so cool. Okay. Realtor representation. From the IABS to the realtor to the buyer's representation, you're going to see a lot of documents from your realtor from that very first conversation. So let's take a look. When you start to have a very substantial conversation surrounding real estate, you will always get a copy of the IABS, which stands for Information About Brokerage Services. You'll also get a copy of the Consumer Protection Notice. Those are both attached to every single email that our team sends out. So those will be things that you see first and foremost. When you sit down with us and you have your buyer's consultation and you sit down and come up with your custom plan for what you're looking for, we're going to go through our representation documents. And this outlines those a little bit here in those first few. Buyer's representation is the representation document and agreement between yourself and the broker and agent. It discussed fees. It discussed the length of your representation. It discussed the market area that you're looking in. That honestly, we could go on a whole chat about each of these documents, but today is going to be a quick overview because I do not want to steal too much time from you guys. Wire fraud warning is something we'll always provide as well. Wire fraud is real, guys. And what better industry for hackers and scammers to look at than an industry where very large quantities of money are being wired from private citizens? How easy is it for a scammer to send you the wrong wiring information with the same maybe signature as a title rep, or just say title officer and kind of vague, and you're rushed through everything and you just say, okay, I got new instructions, no big deal. Wire fraud is real. We confirm before we send anything. So you will receive that from us. Absolutely. First conversation, that's going to be a huge one. General information notice is a really good packet for you to get a hold of. You'll get it from our team always. It's a really good what's what in real estate. Some really common terms, things to expect throughout the process. But it's a really good general information that we give to both buyers and sellers. We talked about the Consumer Protection Notice, CMAs. CMAs are a big one. This is a comparative market analysis. You won't see these likely until you start looking at homes and start talking about writing an offer. When you're going to look at homes and you fall in love and you say, this is it, your realtor, our team, will have a copy of CMAs on hand, either paper. Some of us on the team are paper people. Some of us on the team are very digital. So there will be copies on hand one of those two ways. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually look at the neighborhood that we're in a very tight pocket of that neighborhood. And we're going to narrow down the homes that have sold or about to close and under contract currently that match that home. We walk into a 4-bed, 3-bath, 2,300 square feet house. I'm not going to pull homes that are 5-bedroom, 3,000 square feet. I am not going to pull homes that are 2-bedroom, 1,200 square feet. We're going to get it as tight as possible to the home that you're looking in, and that'll give us a comparative market analysis and tell us what the market has been selling homes that are comparable to that home for. Next one you'll also see in listings. Sometimes it's called an MLS report. Sometimes it's a listing report. Sometimes they call it a cloud CMA. There are a couple different ways to format this, but this is essentially a small overview of the property that you're looking at. It'll include home specs. It'll include like bedrooms, square footage. Is there a pool? Is there a game room? How many offices, dining rooms, all of that good stuff. But it'll also cover school districts. It'll cover HOAs. It'll cover anything like that, that it's just good to know at a first glance. Maybe you don't want to be in an HOA, or maybe you want to be in an HOA that has a pool included, and that's not what they include. So your listing reports will give you a quick overview of that. All right, let's see what this does. Oh, no, we went too far. Backwards. Okay, I love this. I'm still getting used to this tool, so bear with me. Next, we're going to move on to our mortgage people. We love our, oh, okay. I saw a movement. I thought it was comments. It's just this moving. It's new. Okay, lender documents. From your lender application and your loan application to the closing statement, you're going to see a lot from your lender, and we're going to cover a very small portion of that today to give you an idea of what to expect. Loan application. First thing that you're going to see and talk to about with your loan officer. They're going to ask you to go through the loan application process. Some do that online. Some do that over the phone with you. Some will bring you into the office and you can do that in person. Now, your loan application, if you do a full loan application, you'll come back with a pre-approval. If you do not, and you give, I don't want to say bare minimum, but less than full information, so not providing bank statements or income information, no credit score pools, anything like that, general information will get you a pre-qualification. It's not bad, but it's kind of lightweight compared to a pre-approval. Pre-approval says that they have vetted you as a buyer. They've looked at your income, they've looked at your debts, they've looked at your credit, they've looked at your history and your credit scores and determined that you are pre-approved for this amount, and they're waiting for an address. Once they have the address, they'll knock you into underwriting and re-verify some of that stuff. So that's the difference, very lightly, the difference between pre-approval and pre-qualification, but those are two things that are very commonly seen and very highly recommended to get before you go walk into a house. Our team will always recommend that you're fully approved before we walk into a house. We don't want you to walk into a home that maybe you're not quite approved for, you fall in love and nothing leads to that house again. So that's all I have about that. We're not going to get into that. We're just talking about documents. I go all down these rabbit holes. Appraisal. Your appraisal is very important. Your appraisal is going to determine what the appraiser has deemed your home is worth. If you've written an offer for $300,000, we're going to do easy math today, and that appraisal comes in at 310, you are golden. If it comes in lower, there are conversations to be had. And we'll actually cover one of those documents that helps protect you in one of those situations. But an appraisal is going to determine what the value of the home is. Next, I apologize, my brain went boop for a second. Closing statement. Your closing statement, sometimes they call it a closing statement, sometimes they call it a closing disclosure. They're very similar. What they do is they break down what you need to bring to the closing table. They'll factor in what you've paid in earnest, what you've paid in option, any additional earnest, and they will factor in with your closing costs and your down payment, any lender credits, any seller credits, any down payment assistance, because that is still a thing. People are still using that. All of that will be listed on your closing statement, and this is one of those things that gets factored in when we hear the term balancing numbers. We're getting real close to closing, and we've likely scheduled closing if we're hearing balancing numbers. We're balancing numbers. That means that title and lender are matching their closing statements to make sure that they both have the exact same information. So you will get one from your lender. You will also get one from title, and you will sign one at closing. So you will see that a couple of times. Your promissory note is your promise to pay. And that is something that you will see and sign at closing as well, but it is delivered from your lender to title. There's actually a stack of documents that come from lender to title that you'll sign at closing, verifying that the information you provided for your loan application is valid. You'll see another copy of your loan application in there. So these are things that will be reiterated, but we want to make sure that you expect this before you start the process. There we go. Look at this. I'm getting the hang of it. All right, guys, contract addendum, etc. Let's see what we've got. Oh, okay, that's weird. Why did you, it blocked my face. There we are. Hi, it's me. Hello. Okay, let's go to contract documents. These are our most commonly used contracts. So first and foremost, and the one I see about 90% of the time, is the 1 to 4 family residential contract. If you have sold your house in the last few years, this is probably the contract that you used. If you've purchased a home that was previously owned, this is probably the contract that you've used. Now, if you're looking at a condo, there's a separate contract. That's the residential condominium contract. This applies to condos and apartments being purchased, not leased. This is a contract for purchase. Next, we have farm and land. Exactly what it sounds like. If you're purchasing ranch, farm, land, this is the contract that you're likely going to see. Now, my last two are kind of contradictory. New home contract. There is a new home contract that can be used, but in most instances, the builder will provide their own contract, which is very builder friendly. Shocker there, they wrote the contract, so it's a little leaning towards their favor. Most of the time, especially in suburban areas, you're going to see the 1 to 4 family residential contract. If you're in an area with condos, then you may see the condominium contract if you're in a condo. But other than that, unless you're out in farm and ranch area, those are the two that you're most likely going to see. If you're going new construction, I don't want to say 100%. I would about 90% of the time expect for you to see a builder contract versus the new home contract. Not that it's not likely, it's just more common to see the builder provide their own contract. The 1 to 4 family contract is about 11 pages. A builder contract can vary. I've seen them 20 pages. I've seen them 50 pages. It really just depends on every builder and what their attorneys have written up. But those are the most common contracts that you're going to see throughout the process. Oop, we went the wrong way again. Okay. Amendments, disclosures, and addendum. Now, most common, and most people see this on their contract, is the amendment to the contract. This is not included in those 11 pages. This is a separate amendment. I could do an entire video on just the amendment because there are so many things that you can do with it, from correcting the lot description to, let's say, correcting any information, spelling of a name, lot description, changing a closing date, changing your option period, putting additional earnest or option money on the table, asking for seller concessions, asking for seller to repair things. This is what you will likely see as the repair amendment. You'll a lot of times hear repair amendment. The amendment to the contract is what they're likely using for their repair amendment. It allows a small section, and then a lot of times they'll include an attachment with more detailed information on what those repairs are. And we're very, very detailed on that because we want it to be done correctly and without wiggle room. So next one, if you are purchasing in cash, this one does not apply to you. But if you are getting a loan and you are getting a mortgage to purchase this property, you are going to see the third-party financing addendum. The third-party financing addendum is going to identify what kind of financing you're using between conventional, VA, FHA, USDA. It will also disclose whether or not the home is required to have home approval. Maybe it's FHA and it must meet a standard for appraisal. So that is just going to identify to them what type of loan you're using, what your interest rate is supposed to be, what the loan amount is, and just give a little bit of background on the loan itself. Now, the next one ties into that and ties back to what we were talking about earlier. A lot of people hear the term appraisal addendum. That is the short term for it. Long term, it's addendum concerning the right to terminate due to the lender's appraisal. We talked earlier about you writing that $300,000 offer. Now, let's say that appraised value comes in, I'm trying to think of a number. We're going to do easy math. 280. There's a $20,000 difference between what you have offered and what the home is appraised at. Now, if you have thought ahead, and your real estate team has, because they always do, we're looking at the addendum concerning the right to terminate due to the lender's appraisal. If you have a hard line and there is, let's say you've offered 20,000 over, you only have about a $5,000 buffer. You can write that into that addendum that you are going to offer anywhere from appraisal to 5,000 over if the appraisal comes in low. You can also say, absolutely not. If it doesn't appraise, I want my earnest money back. You can also say in that appraisal addendum, I don't care what that number is. I want this house and I will pay the difference in cash. Now, keep in mind, if you say that, and a lot of people got themselves into hot water in the COVID market because they weren't paying attention, you say that, that money has to be come up with in cash at closing. So if that's $20,000 difference, you need to bring $20,000 on top of your closing costs and down payment to closing to cover that. And you have agreed to do that within the contract. So that is something to think about. There are protections in there if you want to offer over, but you don't want to offer over blindly. You can put that in there. Now, another really popular one that we've seen lately, I don't want to say super popular lately, but super popular when we were in that COVID pandemic market for the last couple of years, still being used right now, but maybe not as frequently as it was a year and a half ago. The addendum for backup contract. Say you find a house that you absolutely love, you go in, we call them, and they've already got a house, they've already got somebody writing an offer. They're pretty sure they're going to execute. It's just a matter of waiting for those buyers to sign. Well, you can say, well, you know what, Mr. Listing Agent or Mrs. Listing Agent, I'd still like to write an offer on this house. Would your seller be open to a backup contract? Why not? If their first contract falls through, they got another one to just take its place. If you do that, there is an addendum for backup contract, which allows you to put protections in there and allows you to define the terms of that backup. You don't want to stay in backup for the entire time that they're pending. You want to make sure that you allow yourself a window. And if that first contract does not fall through, then you get your earnest money back and you walk away. Now, this next one was also very popular during COVID. This is the addendum of sale of other property by the buyer. This means that there is a contingency. This means that the buyer is selling their home and they cannot buy this home without the proceeds from that first home. So this is a contingency addendum outlining those terms, when they're supposed to close and all of that good stuff, so that the seller is aware and they've been disclosed that they are under contingency on the sale of another property. Lease addendums. We don't have enough time to go through all of these, but lease addendums can apply to fixtures. They can apply to a buyer or a seller's temporary residential lease if somebody needs time in the home before or after closing, before the owner has transferred. Mineral leases could apply for oil or water or other mineral rights. And then residential leases. Is there a tenant on the property? Is there somebody that's currently in a lease right now that we need to be aware of when we're purchasing the home so we can honor that? That's my quick version of that. Again, we can do a full video of that if you guys really, really want that. And then my last one, we covered it in the beginning when we talked about lead-based paint disclosures. This is the lead-based paint addendum. If a home is older than 1978 or older, I guess I should be more specific, then it is likely that there is lead-based paint in the home. And they need to disclose that to you, whether or not they're aware of it, whether or not it has been modified and fixed. This will give you an idea of what the current seller knows about whether or not there is lead-based paint in the home. So that was my quick version of amendments and addendum and disclosures. Title documents. Title documents are always super fun. We love our title office because they are our investigators. They dig deep and find everything they can on the property, on the neighborhood, mineral rights, leases. We love them. First thing you'll receive from your title office. When we send out executed contract, now remember, executed means that everybody has signed, buyer, seller, everybody. It gets delivered to title. Title will send a receipt of that contract. When you pay your earnest and option, they will also send a receipt of the earnest and option, telling the seller and confirming that your wire or your check arrived at the office, but confirming to the seller that you're good for that and that you have not defaulted on that very first, very important step of the contract. Title commitment. Title commitment is extensive. What they're going to do is they're going to verify everything. They're going to look at the property. They're going to look for mineral rights. They're going to make sure that the seller who is selling the property really is the seller. Sometimes things change hands and it's not done legally. Maybe a trust owns it, but a son or cousin or niece or nephew or somebody is living in the home and they go to sell the house, but they're not really the owner. Maybe somebody else is the executor of the estate. So those are the things that title is going to look for. They're going to verify as much as they possibly can, and they're going to send that to you in a title commitment so that you can review that. It's extensive. If things, We're not going to go into full detail on the title commitment right now. But what I will say is if you have questions, and you likely will, especially if you've not done this before, call title, call our team, and we'll get on the phone with title and make sure that all of your questions are answered thoroughly, because they're going to be the people that have those answers since they did the research. And we want to make sure that you understand exactly what you're getting into with this property. Awesome. Next is our survey. I talk really fast, y'all, so I apologize if I'm talking too fast. Feel free to tell me to slow down. If you'll have questions, please chime in. No questions? No questions? Okay. Next is your survey. Your survey and your T47 are different, although they are associated together a lot. And they do usually come hand in hand. So your survey is exactly what it sounds like. It is a survey of your land and your property. It's going to be an eagle eye shot of your home. It's going to be property boundary lines. It's going to tell you if there's any easements and encroachments on your property. If a patio has been added, it needs to be listed on there. If you put a shed out in the backyard and you put it on a concrete slab, it needs to be on there. There are a lot of things that can sometimes be changed and you don't even think about it until it's time to sell your house and the survey you have is not valid. Now, this T47 comes along with that, and it is a form that validates that nothing on this survey has changed to your knowledge since you filled out that form. Now, what will happen? Sometimes we will get those very early on in the process and we'll have those during showings. Sometimes we won't get them until after we go under contract. That information will be submitted to title. Title will review it. If it is not a valid survey, they will order a new one, and the contract will determine who orders who title will order it. It will determine who pays for it, buyer or seller. Then we have our closing statement, very similar and almost identical. The formats are just a little different as your closing statement that you see with your lender. Again, we're talking about balancing numbers again. So what they're talking about is everything that's owed and has been paid on this transaction. If you've paid earnest, option, you've paid any additional earnest and option, you have asked the seller for a concession, the lender is giving you a credit, you have down payment assistance. All of this is going to be tallied up, and there's going to be buyer on one side, seller on the other, and at the very end, there's a line that says due to the seller, wouldn't that be nice? And then owed by the buyer at closing, and it tells you exactly what number to bring to the closing table. Once numbers have been balanced and lender and title have confirmed, they'll send it to you. We'll make sure that we don't see anything that should be on there or that shouldn't be on there, because that is our job, to make sure that we're putting another eye on things. Okay, last one on here. Sorry, guys, I wanted to mentally catch up to where I was. HOA documents. If you're moving into a neighborhood with an HOA, the owner needs to be transferred. What that means is that title will work on gathering the HOA certificate. And what that will look like is you'll get CCRs, you'll get rules, you'll get regulations, you'll get minutes, you'll get amenity details, and a full overview of what that HOA looks like, what the dues are, who to pay them to, when the meetings are, all of that good stuff. Title will work that up and send that over to us, which is amazing because it gives you a good head start into the HOA. Oh, wrong way again. All right, guys, we are almost there. We are in our miscellaneous section. Thank you for everybody that's hung in there. I know today was a little bit longer video than we normally do. We're at like 20 minutes, which is crazy. Okay, miscellaneous. I promise I'll wrap this up quickly. Home inspection. The home inspection period is extremely vital. You do not have to get a home inspection, but we will always recommend it. What you'll first see it from your home inspection team is their home inspection report. These are going to be very long. They're going to be 30, 40, 50, 80 pages. If they come up with any red flags, roof, foundation, electrical, plumbing, you can have one of those specialists come out and do a further investigation of the property. Roofers and foundation experts will come out for free. A roofer report will give photos. It will show pictures of slopes. It will show pictures of everything up there. If anything looks a little off, maybe the chimney is off, maybe there's some exposed nail heads, maybe who knows? They can find a ton of stuff. They'll include pictures. They'll include a quote. And maybe even a recommendation for replacement depending on the quality and condition of the roof. Foundation maps, also very cool. Foundation map is, again, it's like an eagle eye shot of the home, of the floor, basically the floor map. They find a center point and they measure the levels in the home. Now, when we're in a showing, we do it the really fun way where we take a golf ball and we put it on the floor and see if it rolls. And if you're still good with that, and you want to have a foundation team come out and tell you what it's going to cost to fix that, they'll come out for free. But that's not something that you can usually schedule during your showing times. That's something that we can look at further when we get into our inspection period. But they'll come out and they'll tell you what the levels look like, and they'll give you a quote if piers need to be added. If you want to go one step further, you can hire a structural engineer. They are not free. They will not come out for free. Structural engineers will probably cost a few $100s, but they can come out and give you a report and give you their input as well. Plumbers can flush the lines. Electricians can come and check the wiring, any exposed wires. They can check the power boxes, anything like that that you want to have kind of recheck that may have been a red flag on the home inspection report. Another one is the hydrostatic test. This is a plumbing test typically done after foundation repairs, but you can have it done prior to that or at any point, but you must have the seller permission because it can put extra strain on the pipes. So that's something to keep in mind. Sorry, y'all, I'm trying to make sure that I get y'all out of here because I know it's already been 20 minutes and that's like crazily unheard of, but I found this really cool tool and it made me put way too much information. I apologize. Homeowners insurance, real simply put, if you have a mortgage, you need to have homeowners insurance and you're going to need to provide that for closing. And our final miscellaneous, if you've asked for repairs, we're going to ask for proof of that. Proof of repairs means invoices and warranties. We can't ask for photos, but I don't think that's a fair indicator of the quality of work that was done. So invoices and warranties are always a great option. Second to last thing, utility transfer. As we get to about a week or two before closing, you'll start transferring cable, internet, gas, water, all of that good stuff. So you want to make sure you're keeping record of the dates that utility will switch over to the new residence. Last thing, guys, home warranty documents. If you've asked the seller to purchase a home warranty or you've chosen to purchase a home warranty, you want to save that program and you want to save your inspection report. Quick example, and then I promise I'm done. Let's say you move into a house, 6 months later, your water heater goes out. Oh crap, what do I do? Well, my inspection report said that water heater was just fine. And thank goodness that I purchased home warranty because I call them up and I say, guys, my water heater isn't working. If they come out and they look at it and say, it's kind of old, it probably wasn't going to work, we're not going to cover it. You have your inspection report. Now, if that inspection report says that it's old and it's probably going to break here pretty soon, that's up to the home warranties company's discretion. But if it says that it was working great, perfect condition, no issues at all, it could absolutely help you in getting those things covered. So hold on to your inspection report, put all of this in a binder. I know that sounds crazy. Put it in a binder because one day you're going to want to sell that home. Even if this is your forever home, let's say you want to sell that home. How helpful is it going to be to have all this stuff in one place? Title commitment, survey, HOA documents, proof of repairs that were done, any updates you do after that point, put them in the binder because you may want to sell the home one day. If this is your forever home and this is your last home and you pass here, your family will come in and not know anything about your home, which depending on how you look at it could be a good or a bad thing, depending on the condition of the home. But this would give them a great starting point to know what to do if that were the case. So that is all I have for today. I am so sorry I kept everybody so long. I hope that y'all found this information valuable. I didn't see any questions pop up, but I hope you guys think of questions and let us know. We have trivia night next week. If you have not RSVP'd for trivia night, you need to do so. We are getting final head counts in. So this is your friendly reminder. Text Stacy, text Billy, text myself, and we can send over the RSVP QR code if you don't have it already, but we are getting the guest list prepped. We're getting the final head count for the caterer, and we're so excited to see everybody and test out your trivia knowledge. If you're not a trivia person and you just want to come hang out with us, we'd also love that. You don't have to come for trivia, come for the raffle prizes and the good company and the good food. We'll see you next week, guys. Have a great day.